for D. Number 1, the Public Health Service found that for boys age 11 in Haynes 2, the average height was 146 and the SD was 8. So A, one boy was 170 centimeters tall. He was above average by how much? So 170, what should I do? Minus 146. This number tells me he's 24 centimeters taller than average. How many SDs is that? Divided by 8 is 3 SDs. Is that very likely? Does that happen very often? No. No. So the answer is 3 SDs. And we talked before that if you have a normal curve, so let's say this is 146, if I go out 1 SD, so plus 8 would be 154, and down 8 would be 138, how many people fit in this area? 68%. Okay. If I go out another SD, so that would be 162 and 130, how many people fit in that area? 95%. If I go out one more SD, 170 and down to 128, how many people fit in that area? 99.7. So this boy right here at 170 is pretty rare. That doesn't happen very often. Does that mean it doesn't happen? No. It still happens, but it happens, well, the difference between here and 100 is 0.3%. But it's actually, we'd have to cut that in half, and we'll talk about that later. Okay. B, another boy was 148 centimeters tall. He was above average by 1/4 of an SD. So he was 2 centimeters taller than average. 2 divided by 8 is 1/4. A boy was 1.5 SDs below average height. How tall was he? So he was minus 1.5 SDs. How big is an SD? 8. So how much shorter was he than average? So negative 1.5 times 8, that's a 5, is minus 12 inches. So where would he land in this scale? 134. 146 minus 12 is 134. Okay. If a boy was within 2.25 SDs, the shortest he could have been is blank, and the tallest he could have been is blank. What does it mean within 2.25 SDs? Is that positive or negative? Both. So what it wants us to do is go out here to 2 plus 2.25, and then down here to minus 2.25. How big is 2.25 SDs? Well, 2.25 times 8 is 18. 18. What do I do with that 18? So 146 plus 18 is going to be 164. That's the tallest he could be. And 146 minus 18 is 128. So we know he's somewhere inside there. Your SD will always be positive because we're squaring. But when we look at a normal curve, left means you subtract your SDs. All right, we need to also do 3. Each of the following lists has an average of 50. For which one is the spread of the numbers the biggest or the smallest? The one that has the most spread would be 3. How come? They're really on the edges. Okay, the one that has the least spread would be probably 2, because we have lots of 48, 40s, and 50s. Okay, but they all have the same average. They'll all have different SDs. Right, and 8, 4. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Okay, each of the following lists has an average of 50. For each one, guess whether the SD is around 1, 2, or 10. What would you say with A? 1. How do we know it's 1? They're all exactly 1 unit away from 50. Okay. B, 2. Good. C. Now, C is a little bit trickier because we have some 1s and some 2s and a 3 and a 4. So when you average all those out, you get 2. Okay. D, probably also 2. And E, 10. All right. Piece of cake.